What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the MLB First Look podcast, presented, as always, by Run Pierce Sports and Manscaped.com. I'm your host, as usual, DraftCheat, joined today by G. Risen. Scott, what's going on?
Not too much there, buddy. Filling in for JT today. Always excited to come on and talk some baseball. Had a pretty good day yesterday. I know you and I were on the pod yesterday, and we were talking about a few things, and actually worked out pretty well for us. I know my home run call, Kyle Tucker hit a bomb. My favorite, Trey Turner, hit a bomb. He was in my core. So yeah, it was a good night last night. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, not too bad. I had too many Astros. I was kind of on them, hoping that we'd see wild Shohei Ohtani. We saw the other side of him, where he was just absolutely electric, even went into right field after his start. Pretty cool stuff from Shohei. I was rooting against him last night just because I was on the Astros, but man, he is sure fun to watch play baseball. I think at this point he's kind of even surpassed his own teammate Mike Trout as the most fun player to watch. So excellent stuff from Shohei Ohtani. We were both on the Tigers stack as kind of the leverage against Brady Singer. We were right about him being chalk. I think he came in around 30 to 40% owned most places, and the Tigers did some damage. I think they were one of the very, very best teams you could have stacked. So those teams got pretty high into the money for me, but yeah, Astros in the end kind of held me back, but not a bad night overall. And we'll run them back today. We're recording this early on Wednesday morning. We are talking Wednesdays, 10-game slate. There are, I think, 3 or 4 early games at least. But yeah, we'll leave those off. Maybe 5 because the Rockies and Padres hopefully play a doubleheader. Seems like half the Rockies lineup went on the COVID list. So hopefully they keep on playing there and those guys are all right and all that. But
yeah. The Padres had some COVID too, didn't they?
That's what I was saying, the Padres. Yeah, did I say the Rockies there? I might have.
Yeah, you said the Rockies.
Yeah, the Padres. Will Myers and Tatis, I think they said they both tested positive. And then there's some, obviously, of the contact tracing stuff. So we'll see what goes on there. But then was there another team, I think, that might have had some? Oh, the Yankees had like 5 coaches.
Yeah.
Who were already vaccinated, apparently. But 5 coaches. They kept playing ball. Show goes on for the Yankees, it appears. So we won't dive too much into that, but just something to monitor going forward here. I expect all the games to play today, despite the COVID issues that a couple of these teams have run into. All right, Scott, let's dive into the 10-game main slate. We'll go game by game as we typically do here. First game on the slate, Philadelphia and Washington, Zach Wheeler and John Lester. 2 obviously very different pitchers here. We've seen some really big performances from Zach Wheeler, who's been excellent this season. He's pitched he's going deep into games, right? 100-plus pitches in most outings, full 9-inning complete game shutout against Milwaukee with 8 strikeouts last time. It's been super impressive, throwing gas. Kind of a tough matchup here against Washington. Trey Turner's on fire. Juan Soto's back. But Wheeler's certainly capable. He's 9,500 on DraftKings. And then John Lester, who shut down not shut down, but slowed down the Braves stack I had against him last time. He does that a lot, but I'll still continue to stack against old John Lester. I don't think there's much left in the tank there. So Wheeler, Lester, Phillies, and Nationals. What do you see here?
Yeah, you're right about Zach Wheeler. I mean, he's been north of 100 pitches. He actually had, a high of 118 in his last start. So that's you don't see that too often nowadays, guys rolling up over 100 pitches every start. So his last 4 out of 5 starts, 108, 105, 114, 118, 97.
Those are like some Scherzer pitch counts there.
Right. And he's had 8 Ks, 9 Ks, couple 6 Ks. So, to me, for a FanDuel player, I got to assume, there's a really good chance for me to get a quality start.
Yep.
So,
good chance at a win, too, with Lester on the mound on the other side.
Yep. So I think his win equity is really good here. So, I could see Wheeler. I know we're just getting into it here, but Wheeler does look interesting right out the gate here.
Yep.
So, this Washington, you mentioned Turner. When a big bat like Soto comes back in, that's obviously some concern if you're on the pitching side. But Soto definitely makes that lineup go. So, I lay a little caution there, but it's still a decent matchup that, you should be able to get a victory and maybe get 6 Ks, maybe 7 innings out of them, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so, especially on FanDuel. Like, you need to have a good performance from your starting pitcher, right? DraftKings, you can survive a bad one in one of your 2 spots at least if your bats go off, but FanDuel, you kind of need to nail that pitcher that can go deep into games. So, yeah, Wheeler kind of fits the bill perfectly over there. And, I mean, Turner, Soto, scary at the top, but the lineup falls off in a hurry after that, right? There's not really that many other scary bats in the Washington lineup, so Josh Bell's not hitting. So, I think Wheeler's a great play. I'll be on the Philly bats. I think we'll be probably without JT Realmuto in this one. He left early yesterday, took a foul ball, looked like kind of right off his kneecap, right off his knee. Sounds like it's just a contusion, so hopefully he's going to be all right. But I would expect him to miss this game, which is unfortunate because I would have enjoyed playing JT Realmuto against John Lester. You could play Bryce Harper left here. But I think, guys like Rhys Hoskins, Andrew McCutchen, who's been heating up lately, look like pretty good plays against Lester to me.
Yeah, Lester, I like to usually attack Lester here later in his career. So, I'd like to kind of see what this Philly lineup looks like when it comes out. If they got, how many lefties they're going to roll out. I'd just like to kind of see that. And I just off the top of my head, is Lester been getting run on quite a bit still, or I haven't checked his?
He's kind of shored that up a little bit, but yeah, you can still run on him for sure.
Yeah, because I always like to, you've mentioned in the past before about certain pitchers like, Glass now that are easy to run on.
Yeah.
So, that does come into play if you got some speedy fellows over there on the base pass. It's always nice to get that stolen base, stolen base, run, or 2 stolen bases. This Philly lineup, though, it just seems like it's kind of weak at the bottom. So, like I said, I want to see what they roll out without Realmuto. So I'm kind of interested to see what they have there. But, they do have a low team total. Well, actually, they got a 4.3 team total, which looks about average on today's slate.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, it's about average. There's pretty low, and there's good pitching today. So, this spot doesn't really jump out at me. The over-under is 8, which is right on about average. So, yeah, I can't say, anything's really jumping out at me here. But, my boy Trey Turner's in this game. So, anytime he's playing, he hit a home run last night. I always look to start Trey Turner on my teams. Like I said, I just don't like getting smashed at shortstop.
Yeah.
But, Turner's been on fire. I think he's got, 8 or 9 homers already. He's just coming out the gate strong, and now he's got Soto behind him. That definitely helps the case.
For sure. Yeah. If you're looking for leverage against Wheeler, you could play Turner, or I think Juan Soto would be even my preferred option there. Wheeler's really good, but I'm not Soto. That's still advantage Soto in that matchup to me. I wouldn't be worried about playing him. So, I've talked about I do like to play 1 or 2 bats sometimes against these popular pitchers. I think we'll see Wheeler get some ownership, but probably from me and you as well. I think Wheeler looks like a pretty good option. Excuse me, on this particular slate. Next game, Oakland and Boston. This one at Fenway. In terms of weather, it looks pretty good in the high 50s maybe. We've got Eduardo Rodriguez, who has pitched solidly this year, not spectacularly, but solidly enough. Kind of, I don't know, I guess kind of what you would expect from Erod, right? Kind of the high 3s ERA, decent strikeouts. Doesn't go super deep into games, but pretty reliable guy for the most part. He'll take on James, I don't even know how to pronounce this one, Caprillion. Must be close to that. Caprillion, who is making his debut on the year. I'm going to have to look him up and see what's up with him. But talk about Erod, Oakland, Boston here.
Yeah, I don't know if this guy's a rookie, this James Caprillion, but I saw a stat he pitched last year. He pitched 3 innings, gave up 2 homers.
Yeah, there you go.
So looks like he gave up 4 hits, 3 earned runs, walked a couple guys. He did strike out 4. But, get one of your first starts against the Red Sox in Fenway isn't an ideal situation. So, obviously you and I were talking yesterday how strong this Boston lineup is 2 through 5. I mean, I don't think you really find too much better in baseball. So, but they are a pretty expensive stack. So there's some pretty good pitching today. Generally it's not too tough to find some value, but, you look at Boston's team totals, 4.8. I'm not really haven't been a fan of Marwin leading off. But Verdugo's been on fire. He's actually reasonably cheap on FanDuel. He's 3,100. Of course, you're going to have to pay up for JD, who's 42. And then, Bogart seems to be pretty cheap for a 3,600 shortstop. So, over under 9 on this game. I do like some of these, Boston bats. I mean, I just like the lineup up and down. It's just not too many outs in that lineup, even though, Cordero and Dahlbeck haven't really been hitting that well. But then you come over here to these A's. The A's generally hit lefties pretty well. Now, I do give Eduardo a little bit of, I'll give him a little bit of credit. I mean, he's a guy that generally doesn't get blown up.
Yeah.
But just looking at his game logs, I mean, what are we going to expect out of him? Maybe 6 innings. So, the Oakland bats are a little bit interesting. If you wanted to do like a game stack in the highest over under game, that would be a suggestion. Canna always hits lefties well. Obviously Chapman and Lariano hit lefties well. Yesterday they had who was it leading? He had him up in the 2. Was it Murphy? Somebody was up in the 2 hole yesterday. I was kind of surprised to see.
Okay, yeah, they'll change their lineup around a little bit. I'm with you on Erod. I mean, Oakland's been, I think, maybe the 3rd or 4th most productive team against lefties on the year. They do strike out a little bit, but I'm probably not going to Oakland, or to Erod rather, against Oakland and Fenway. I just think they're better spots. Caprillion, it looks like he could be okay. So he did make 1 start at AAA. The minor league started, I think, just in early May. Pitched 4 2/3 innings, 5 strikeouts. He had some good strikeout stuff coming up through the minors. Throws in the mid-90s. Like, he just seems like he's probably be a decently solid starter, but nothing to fear, obviously, against Boston. And Boston bats probably the way you want to go here. 4,500 for Caprillion. I don't think I would go there, but maybe, just depending on if there's like a super expensive stack that I want. And because I do think he's going to be stretched out, and you never know, right? He could give you 5 solid innings. Not a FanDuel play, but a DraftKings 4,500. Maybe you would take the discount. I'll have to do a little bit more research into Caprillion and give my, my final recommendation, if you will, on the show today on YouTube or in the Discord or whatever. So that's Boston and Oakland. I think, it's mostly bats that you're looking at here from both of us, but maybe some interest in the pitchers, just depending on your own roster construction.
You think those Red Sox bats might be pretty popular as a stack today? Just seeing that.
I would imagine so. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I know we haven't got too far into the slate, but I'm going to assume the Red Sox bats are going to be a popular play today.
Yeah. I'm going to need to dive into what the A's have available in their bullpen, how good those guys are. And then, because I think Caprillion, looking at some of his stats, he's got pretty good control. He might be better than people think. That's basically kind of what my conclusion is there. So, if I come down with that conclusion, obviously don't have to play him, but maybe you end up not playing as many Red Sox as some other people might. Let's go to New York and Tampa Bay. Garrett Cole taking the hill for the Yankees. He's been Garrett Cole, I guess you could say, through these first 6 or 7 starts, giving you about 100 pitches a start. You're going to expect close to double-digit strikeouts. I don't think that changes here against Tampa. And then Ryan Yarbrough, soft-tossing lefty who has had some pretty good success over the last couple of years. Pitched well against the Yankees back on the 18th, 5 innings, just 1 earned run allowed, 4 strikeouts. Not the most impressive guy to watch, kind of like like Kyle Hendricks, basically when Hendricks is actually performing decently well, kind of like that from the left side, I would say for Yarbrough. But yeah, that's kind of an enticing matchup for these Yankees bats, right? For guys like Stanton and Judge, guys with power from the right side. So Cole, I think, going to be a top option, certainly. Hard to really quibble with him as far as I'm concerned. And then Yarbrough, don't think I'll use him against the Yankees. You never know exactly what his leash is going to be, but in general, he doesn't get beat up too badly. So what are your thoughts here on the Yankees and the Rays?
Yeah, Cole, other than his last start, he only had 4 Ks his last start against Houston, but he still went 97 pitches. He went 7 innings, got a no decision. He just doesn't walk anybody. So he's not giving any free passes, which, is huge. Just looking at his game logs, he's right around 6-7 innings. He gives up 3 or 4 hits and he strikes out around 10 guys and goes about 100 pitches. He's Garrett Cole, and Tampa's, I'd say it's a decent matchup. It's not, it's just not the greatest matchup. Tampa is a little pesky. They don't strike out all that much, but against righties. But Yarbrough and the Yankees bats. I'm always looking at the Yankees. There's just certain teams in baseball that you got to look at, and that lineup has been good. Obviously, Stanton's been crushing the ball. Judge hit a towering big homer the other night. But like we mentioned yesterday, some of these Yankee bats are coming up in price, so the stack isn't as cheap as it was like a week ago. Yeah, like I said, I'd always look at the Yankees bats, especially the top 5 or 6 bats in that lineup. Could probably even go down to Clint Frazier if that's something you want to do. But, that Tampa bullpen's been struggling too. So, I don't mind the Yankee bats here. I don't see an over-under on the game or
I think there's some confusion as to whether or not Yarbrough's actually pitching, because I've seen Colin McHugh some places, Yarbrough others. So maybe that's why the total and the money line might not be up yet at some books.
Yeah, I did see McHugh. He's listed on a couple spots too. And yeah, I'm definitely not afraid of Colin McHugh. So if he starts, he's been beaten up pretty good.
I bet it'll be McHugh opening and Yarbrough in the bulk roll is my guess.
Yeah. So, those two might get one time around the lineup and then they're going to switch it up. So if that's the case, you don't really got to worry about these righty lefty matchups. Obviously we're going to get one time through with a righty, other time through with a lefty. So, Yankee bats are in play for me. I'm going to definitely wanting to see who they do end up throwing out there. But like you said, it'll probably end up being, bullpen type game. But Yankees are always in play for me.
Yeah, it makes sense. I have kind of a lot of respect for Yarbrough. So I'm not going to use him here, but it's probably enough, especially if they use an opener. And I don't know. I don't love taking hitters in games like those. So especially with a smart club like Tampa, they've got the whole damn game planned out. Who's going to pitch what inning with all the matchups. So I get it. But for me personally, I probably mostly fading the Yankees. And Cole, he's so consistent, right? Like he's got the best pitch in baseball. I know there's a breaking ball revolution, right? More sliders and curveballs than ever before. The best pitch in baseball is still the fastball that you can throw past anybody. Like Cole, you can get down 3-0 to a guy, a good hitter, throw him 3 straight fastballs down the middle and strike him out because he's just got that type of 4-seam fastball. That's still the best pitch. That's why you don't see him walk anybody, because he can challenge everybody with his monster fastball. So, yeah, Cole, expect a great outing. It's just a matter of can they get a guy on and hit a home run at some point. Then he gives up 2 earned runs, but he still gets his 8 or 9 strikeouts. And if that doesn't happen, then you're looking at a potential 7-8 inning outing with 10 or 11 strikeouts. So
how expensive is he on DK? I think he's 12. He's 12K.
Yeah, 10.5 on DraftKings. So
he's 1,400 higher than Woodruff, 1,800 higher than Duffy. So you're going to have to pay up for Cole.
That's good. I like that they make you make a choice there, right? I think that's
right.
Really good.
Yeah, just like we kind of saw yesterday with Means. Not too many people wanted to pay up for Means. Mm-hmm. Not that he had the greatest of starts, but, it's the same kind of situation, it appears. So, that sticker shock there might fend a few people off. And if that's the case, like we've said, you can find some value bats. I know yesterday on the live show, you gave out a couple guys that were at min price.
Yep.
I mean, they're always easy to find. So, you want to jam in that Garrett Cole, it's always a possibility.
Absolutely. Let's go to Kansas City and Detroit next. Danny Duffy on the hill for the Kansas City Royals. He's been just incredible this year. He's coming off, I think, his worst start of the year. Yeah, against Cleveland. Wasn't even that bad. Still got 6 strikeouts over 5 2/3 innings against the Indians, 3 earned runs. Before that, had been between 20 and 30 fantasy points in his first 5 starts of the year, including some relatively tough matchups against Minnesota, the Angels, Tampa Bay. Duffy's been great. His velocity's been up. Did go down just a little bit in his last start, but my guess is it'll be back up today, kind of to what we've seen it throughout the season. And then he gets this incredible matchup against the Tigers. We talked yesterday, obviously in depth and kind of paid off with the Singer fade and playing some Tigers. I think this team's going to be much, much better against right-handed pitching than they are against lefties. Certainly the numbers have kind of started to bear that out. They are still just absolutely horrific against lefties, but starting to turn it around a little bit against righties. So on the season, 35% strikeout rate against left-handed pitching, and then the number that's just shocking, a 39 WRC plus. WRC plus is just simply kind of the number of runs basically that they're scoring in a situation neutral context, like accounting for park and weather and stuff. So that's 61% below league average. The second worst team, that's the worst in the league, obviously, is at 59 and then 73. So they're just been so much worse than any other team against lefties this year. Danny Duffy, man, I'm in. As I was off Singer yesterday, so were you. But I'm back in on this KC matchup. I think Duffy is a much better pitcher than Singer at this point for one, and then I just think the matchup's much better for Duffy than it was for Singer. So hopefully, maybe people will be a little bit gun shy, right? A lot of people played Singer, they got burned yesterday. Maybe they don't want to go back to picking on Detroit, but not us. We didn't get burned, so I'm in on Duffy here. I know he's expensive. I expect a good, strong outing from him.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Duffy's just been surprisingly really good this year. I mean, I'm starting to be a believer. He's just been on fire. I mean, you look at, like his game logs, he's right around 100 pitches. He's going to get you 6 to 8 Ks. He did already pitch against the Tigers a couple weeks back. So, he went 5 innings, only gave up 4 hits, no earned runs, struck out 8.
Yeah.
I think that game they were smoking him, so they took him out pretty early. He only had 83 pitches, was actually the lowest pitch count of the season last time.
I don't know what happened there, but the next 2 games he threw 107 in each of them. So,
Yep. So, you're talking about the Tigers. I was just looking at the team splits, man. The Tigers hit 178 against lefties, and they only have 2 home runs this whole year.
That's what I'm saying. Any number you want to bring up, like I prefer, the kind of advanced rate stats, but you want to talk slugging, batting average, they're just been horrendous.
They're just awful, god awful. So. Obviously Duffy's going to be in play. What's kind of surprising is Duffy's only a minus 150 favorite. That to me, I think that's a pretty good bet. I would not.
I'll probably be jumping on that one.
Royals here is a pretty good play.
Yeah.
And then, we're talking about, the Tigers here. Look at this lineup. There's so many Ks. This seems like Miguel Cabrera. Man, the guy's min price. How sad is that? Hang it up, Miguel. Come on. You're min price. You're a Hall of Famer. It's almost getting to be embarrassing for him.
He's got to get his money. If he retires, so then they don't have to pay him.
I guess. He is getting paid pretty
I'm not walking away from like $25 million. Sit me on the bench if you want to. I ain't retiring though.
I agree with you. And the thing with Miguel is he looks like he's always having fun. He's like a big old kid. Sure.
It's not like the Tigers got anything to play for. Probably want to get last place. So
yeah, what they can get a couple. I think there's some good pitching prospects they want.
Yeah.
that are coming through the ranks.
They'll get hurt before they ever get to the Tigers, but in theory.
Yeah, you're probably right. But Casey Mize on the other side, he's number one pick, obviously. We brought him up a few times. His last couple outings haven't been bad. He hasn't given up much. I mean, he gave up one earned run to Boston. He came out through 95 pitches. And then, the start before, he had the White Sox. And then I think didn't match up the same days. I was going to say he did go against the Royals and did get beat up a little bit. Gave up 6 earned runs last time against the Royals. Gave up 2 homers. Anytime you got a team against the Tigers, kind of like we saw last night, was it 7-0? Next thing I know, I look up, it's 7-7. And it was like the 8th inning. So obviously the back part of that bullpen gave up some runs. But you got Benintendi, Carlos Santana, Salvador Perez, Soler went deep yesterday. I think he went deep. I know he had 20-some points.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
Yeah, I think he went deep late off that bullpen. But, the bottom part of the Royals lineup isn't all that strong. But, obviously against the Tigers, anything can happen. And the weather doesn't look too bad. It's going to be mid-60s here in Detroit. I think some Royals might be in play, maybe a little Royals stack, but I want nothing to do with the Tiger bats. And I think at this point, Duffy is my favorite pitcher.
Yeah, we're in lockstep here. Kind of do like some of these Royals bats. I know Mize is talented. I'm just not a huge believer at this point. He's just not fooling many people. The swinging strikes aren't there. Hitters are swinging at pitches when he throws them in the zone. They're laying off when when he's throwing sliders and breaking balls outside of the zone in general. And the whole package I know the last couple starts have been better, or at least one of them against Boston, but I don't see it with Mize quite yet. So I do kind of like the KC bats. Obviously you get the dreadful Tiger bullpen after Mize is out of there, which probably will just be 5-6 innings at most. So yeah, give me some Royals bats. It was annoying yesterday when they pulled Witt and Salvador Perez early from the game. I had a full Royal stack, and then it was 7-0, I think, and then they came storming back, but nothing for Witt or Salvador. Maybe it was pulling from the game that sparked the team. I don't know. Toronto and Atlanta next. We got Hyun-Jin Ryu pitching for the Blue Jays. He went on the IL return last game. Struggled against Oakland a little bit, 5 innings, 6 Ks, 4 earned runs, threw 91 pitches, so he should be good to go here against Atlanta. He's 7,100, pretty low price point for him. Obviously a pretty tough matchup, but, well, I guess this depends on if you trust the numbers or you trust kind of the track record of some of these Braves hitters. Robbie Ray pitched pretty well. I think he might have got up to double-digit strikeouts or close to it. Gave up a couple earned runs early, but ultimately had a pretty solid game against the Braves.
I think he had 10 Ks.
Yeah, he's legit. I keep saying it. He's a new pitcher. So yeah, he's going to be good going forward. If you can acquire him in your season-long leagues, go ahead and do that. And then Max Fried, a battle of the lefties. 2 guys that actually kind of went through a little injury spell early on. Been a bit of a rough go for Fried right this year. He's sitting with an ERA over 8. He's been tough sledding, but he was better in his return from the IL. 5 innings, 6 strikeouts against the Nationals, only threw 72 pitches. I don't know. 6,100 for Max Fried is a little tempting on DraftKings, one of the cheapest pitchers, but he does have to face the Blue Jays, Vladimir Guerrero, and those guys. Vladdy with another bomb yesterday. This is an interesting game because both these pitchers are talented and they are cheap, but I don't love the matchup for either guy.
Yeah, Ryu's a guy I've mentioned before. I generally don't like to attack Ryu.
No,
and if you look at Atlanta hasn't been hitting lefties as a whole very well this year. They're at the bottom of the league. It's like Albies. I used to like. I mean, if I saw a lefty, I'd always bang in Albies. I wouldn't be afraid to play Freeman. But this year, they just haven't put it together yet. So I mean, this over under 7.5. So Vegas obviously believes it's going to be low scoring. But I think I'm going to have some interest in these Blue Jay bats against Max Fried. So I do like. I mean, the Blue Jays can almost roll out a completely right-handed lineup. So I mean, Semien, Vladdy, Teskar, you got Grichuk. Fried has struggled a few of his starts this year. I know he gave up, 7 earned runs to Miami, 5 against Washington a couple of starts ago. So, I think these Blue Jay bats are going to be in play today.
Yeah, looking at Fried a little bit while you were talking, and he's been much better under the hood with the metrics than I expected, given how bad he's been kind of on the surface stats. So, yeah, I mean, it's still an above-average first pitch strike rate. He's throwing strikes in general, 13.6 swinging strike rate, which is good, getting a fair amount of chases. He looks, to me, basically like the same pitcher that he was last year when he was pretty damn good. So, I'm with you. I mean, my initial reaction was give me some of these Blue Jays bats, and I still don't obviously like this matchup for Fried. But Toronto, overall sitting mid-pack against lefties on the year, it is going to be very atypical 52 degrees in Atlanta at game time. Obviously, it's, typically the lowest you see is kind of mid-60s there. So, yeah, I might be in on some Fried, to be honest. 72 pitches in his last start. I need to make sure that he's kind of a full go and can give you 90 if he's pitching well, but I'm interested there at 6,100.
Vegas got the line almost at an even, minus 105. I mean, it's pretty much a pick 'em. So Vegas likes Fried a little bit more than we do too, or, a little bit more than, you would look at it just by the Vegas line. Both teams, 3.7 projected run, 3.8.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm probably going to be in on Fried. He's been a good pitcher, and I don't really see anything that I think is wrong with him other than some mostly bad luck to start the year. So
you'll get him low owned. That's definitely
maybe low team total against, and he's 6,100. I could see people going to Fried. We'll see. I don't think people like to pick on the Blue Jays in general, of course, but it'll be interesting to see where that shakes out. I bet we'll see Fried. I call it right now. 13% ownership on Fried, which isn't bad, of course, on DraftKings. All right, we'll keep moving from there. Interesting one between Fried and Ryu. St. Louis, Milwaukee next. Brandon Woodruff making a start here for the Brewers. He's been excellent all year long. ERA below 2, WHIP below 0.8, which is just absurd. Kind of another guy like a little bit like Garrett Cole, not quite on his level, but where he doesn't have to. He can challenge guys with fastball, so he doesn't walk many. Good strikeout stuff. He'll face John Gant, who has some decent results, but a lot of smoke and mirrors. I mean, even his last start against the Mets, 5 strikeouts but 6 walks, 5 walks to start before that. He had another – I mean, his walks are just absurd. 6-5, 2-5, 3-3. And that's even throwing, basically 80 to 90 pitches to start. But he does get a good matchup against Milwaukee, so I guess if you wanted to try that, you could. Probably not for me. But Woodruff, though, I think very interesting at 9,800. The St. Louis team mostly right-handed. We saw what Freddie Peralta did to them last night with, I think he got close to, if he didn't get there, double-digit strikeouts. Woodruff certainly capable of the same thing. I've been really impressed with Woodruff. I'm a believer long-term, and, I think it's kind of a close call between him and Wheeler at just $300 apart on DraftKings.
Yeah, Woodruff's another guy that's looking really good. I mean, you mentioned. I mean, he had 11
he's an
Ks.
ace. I'm fully convinced Woodruff's an ace. Yep.
Yeah, I mean that Milwaukee pitching staff is pretty good. So yeah. I mean, you look at Woodruff. I mean, he had 11 Ks against Philly. He went 103 pitches, 6 innings. I mean, you look at he's 6 innings. Pretty much religiously. He's just it's just a great matchup. I mean, I look at St. Louis here. They strike out the 4th most against right-handed pitching as a team. So there are obviously some Ks there. So Woodruff to me is going to be in the has moved himself into my little short player pool here for pitching today. Obviously, we talked about Duffy. Woodruff is going to be a strong play too tonight. So I'm going to be looking at some Woodruff. That's for sure. Now, as far as these Milwaukee bats against Gant, I like to generally stack pitchers who are wild and give a lot of free passes. But as we've mentioned before, this This Milwaukee lineup just not too enamoring, right? I mean, if Yelich was back in, maybe that would have me lean a little bit more to him. But missing Yelich, I mean, if you wanted to stack it up, I mean, Vogelbach's pretty cheap for a lefty that's got some power. Obviously, Shaw's got some power, but I just don't like the Brewers as a team. So, especially their bats. So I probably gonna pick some other spots, being there's 10 games.
Yeah,
but definitely Woodruff is in my pitching pool today. I mean, Brewers are minus 180. The Cardinals have a Slate low 3.4 team total. Actually, let me take that back. Tampa has the Slate low 2.8. So, Woodruff for me. Sign me up.
Yeah, I'm on board as well. And one thing, obviously Milwaukee doesn't really have many bats that we like, but Gant, like we said, has been really wild. He's another pitcher that you could see him getting hit around early. St. Louis bullpen has been awful this year, and I think their two best relievers, Giovanni Gallegos and Alex Reyes, likely both unavailable in this one. Gallegos threw 27 pitches, I think over 2 innings, and I think Alex Reyes went 2 innings, 28 pitches yesterday too. Beyond those two guys, even Ryan Helsley pitched yesterday, who's pretty good. They really don't have much in the bullpen. So if they're able to knock Gant out early, you would presume Woodruff would be pitching well, right? So maybe they're up, 4-5-0 after 2 innings. You're going to get some really, really bad pitchers coming out of that Cardinals bullpen. So there's a path here for Milwaukee to do some damage despite not having the most inspiring bats in general. But they're cheap, right? You can get these guys really cheap. So I'll probably have a Milwaukee stack or two.
Man, Gant has 24 walks to 25
That's what I'm saying.
Ks.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's kind of a little bit like the Astros idea against Shohei Ohtani. Obviously, that didn't work out. Ohtani clearly a much better pitcher than Gant is, but it was kind of the same thing where if he's off, if he's wild, you get into that bullpen, things could be good. Maybe this one works out better than that Astros stack did on yesterday. All right, we'll go to Minnesota and Chicago next. Jay Happ taking the hill for Minnesota. He continues to get the job done. I'm not quite sure how with the lack of strikeouts, and he's getting hit hard by the metrics, but nothing's leaving the yard, and he continues to roll along. 7,600 on DraftKings for Happ. Won't find him on my lineups. We'll find some Chicago right-handed power, that's for sure. He'll go against Dallas Keuchel, who I don't know. I don't think I've played him in DFS in like the last 5 years. Soft tossing lefty who's just a ground ball master but doesn't get any strikeouts. I don't see much upside for him. 6K. I don't love stacking against him either, right? Because he just gets so many damn ground balls. It's just not a lot of fun. But you could look at some of these Twins right-handed bats, guys like Cruz, Donaldson, I think are okay plays. So Happ, Keuchel, Twins, White Sox. What do you see?
Last year, anytime I saw a lefty like a Jay Happ going against the White Sox, it was an automatic.
Yeah.
I'd play the White Sox. The White Sox they're just haven't been last year's White Sox. I mean, I know they're missing a couple power bats in Jimenez and Robert at this point. I could see, I'm going to dive in a little bit more today as the day goes on. I might be interested in some of these White Sox actually. And the Twins are another team that I generally like to use against the lefty, but you mentioned Keuchel. He is such a heavy ground ball pitcher. I would never use Keuchel either. I think when you mentioned you haven't played him in a long time, I literally don't think. I think I thought about it once this year, and it may have been on a 3 or 4 game.
I definitely haven't played him this year. I've maybe played him, sometime in 2018 on like a 3-game slate or something, but not very often.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get too many Ks from him. It's just not his thing. He's just a contact pitcher, gets a lot of ground balls, like we said. But, I think Happ here is a guy that I might attack, like I was saying, with some of these White Sox. I mean, these White Sox got to break out of it at some point. They got too much power. I do like Tim Anderson. Brehu's always in play. I prefer Grandel from the left side than the right side.
Yep.
And then you got Moncada. I'd look at him, but Yeah, I'm going to dive into this a little bit more here. I mean, both these teams obviously have good offenses. But Nelson Cruz against a lefty has always been somebody I'd look at. Donaldson can hit lefties. Garver, I think last time out against a lefty, hit a homer. There's definitely some upside there. But, just kind of looking at it on paper, it just kind of looks like a boring type game. But, I think there's definitely some potential here. I'm going to dive into these two a little bit more. It kind of looks interesting here. I'm just going to.
Yeah, a couple BVP stats for you. Tim Anderson, 9 for 16 off of Hap with 2 home runs and a triple. 1,600 OPS in 16 plate appearances against Hap. I would assume most of those have come fairly recently, obviously. So I think that's interesting. Jose Abreu, not as much success. I think, the guys from the White Sox I'm looking at, Anderson would top the list. I'll put a little bit of stock into that BVP. That's fine for me. Abreu did hit a home run yesterday. It's been a little bit of a slow start for him. Yermin Mercedes, I think you can play. He's still hitting pretty well. And then if you need a punt, hasn't gotten going yet this year, but Andrew Vaughn, metrics still look pretty good for him. One of the top prospects. I think he was, like the 3rd or 4th overall pick a couple years ago. One of the best college hitters. He's 2,500. I assume he'll be in the lineup as well. So a few guys you can look at from Chicago. I'm still absolutely not a believer in J Happ. He's got some big regression coming, and I want to be there when it occurs. So I'm going to be on some of these White Sox bats for sure. And maybe a sprinkling of the Twins. Nelson Cruz does have 5 home runs off of Keuchel in 58 career plate appearances. So he's at least been able to lift the ball a little bit against Keuchel, which can be difficult for some guys. He's kind of pounding away, down and low with those sinkers. So Cruz and then
hit a home run one-handed.
yeah. Cruz and then some of those White Sox righties is what I'm looking at mostly in that one. Next game is the Angels and the Houston Astros. Andrew Heaney and Jose Urquidy on the hill. Heaney is just, he's just all over the place. We've seen him pitch brilliantly at times, including once against the Astros back on the 23rd of April. 10 strikeouts to no walks, 30 DraftKings points. He was brilliant again in his last start against Tampa Bay, 32 DraftKings points. And then, in between those, just made it 3 1/3 innings against the Mariners of all teams, gave up 4 earned runs. Opened the season with a negative DraftKings outing against Chicago. So you never know what you're going to get with Heaney. Clearly the upside is there. We've seen it from him multiple times, including against this team last time out. Still hard for me to trust him against Houston, to be honest. But clearly he's at least capable of a big game. And Urquidy's been pretty good after a slow start to the year. Still not getting a ton of strikeouts, which is concerning. And Angels obviously a tough matchup, so I don't see using Urquidy. I'm not super excited to use the Angels guys. Maybe an Ohtani or a Trout, obviously always going to be in play. Jared Walsh has been terrific as well. But yeah, what do you see here? I mean, I don't see a ton that I love, to be honest. Although the Heaney versus the Astros is one where if you wanted to play Heaney, I wouldn't really talk you off it. If you wanted to stack against him, this dude gives up a ton of home runs. I could see the Astros teeing off as well. So sounds like sit in the fence there, and frankly, I am, because I don't know which way to go against Heaney and the Astros here.
Yeah, Heaney's either boom or bust. He's had. You mentioned those 2 starts he had with the 10 Ks. He had 10 Ks against Tampa. Then he went against Seattle, only went 3 innings.
Yep.
He gave up 3 home runs at Seattle, and then he, sandwiched in between that other start he had against Houston with the 10 Ks. So, yeah, it's boom or bust. Houston is pretty good against lefties.
Yeah.
So I'd lay caution to using Heaney. I think I'd rather lean toward using the Houston bats than I would use.
I agree. Yep.
Heaney.
Yep.
But I think, if you're a fan of Heaney, you want to use him. If I couldn't argue somebody off of him. There's way better plays. You're getting. He's 8,100 on FanDuel. I just don't see the Astros getting. I don't think they're going to get 10 Ks out of him again. So
yeah,
the Astros been a little bit. They've been hot since the last time they picked it up a little bit. So what he pitched against them on 4/23, so almost 3 weeks ago. last few weeks, the Astros just been hitting. So I would tend to lean the Astro bats here. Bregman had a day off yesterday, so I'm going to expect him to be back.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think the Astro bats could be interesting here. I mean, the over-under is 8.5 in this game, which is actually the second, third highest over-under. So Vegas kind of expects this one to have some runs. But I'm not interested in any of the pitchers. Quiddy, like you mentioned, for me in a tournament, he just doesn't have that K upside.
Yep.
I'm probably I'm probably off both pitchers here, but the Astro bats got some stack potential. I'd fully stack it if I used them, though.
Yeah, I hear that. Although Heaney is enough of a home run pitcher where you could try to pick a one-off too, but I do hear you because it does kind of seem like Heaney's either going to be on his game or not, and if he's not, the Astros should do some damage.
And that Angel bullpen has not been very good either.
No, it's not good. Yeah. Yep. Totally. Miami and Arizona next. Zach Gallen, obviously a kind of a young star pitcher for Arizona. A little bit of a bumpy road these last couple, but I would expect him to rebound. Good matchup, obviously, with against Miami here at home. And then Nick Neidert pitching for the Marlins. Neidert is not any good. I think one of the very worst starting pitchers in baseball at this point. So, yeah, I won't be on him, but give me some of those Arizona bats. And, yeah, Gallen, I think another guy, a lot of pitching options, a lot of good pitchers going today. I think Gallen's got to be added to the list as well.
Yeah, Gallen's always, high 90s. I mean, he's 5, 6, 7 Ks. He's generally around 6 innings or so. Gallen is pretty good talent. Miami, on the other hand, they're kind of a pesky team. You mentioned Gallen there. I think there's a few other spots that stand out to me. I don't think Gallen will make my pool of pitchers.
I agree. He's not my very favorite, but he's on the list at least.
I'll tell you what. I mean, this Arizona stack is definitely interesting.
Oh yeah.
I think you're going to get them low owned. They're fairly cheap. I mean, the most expensive bat is Carson Kelly at 3,300. You can get Peralta at 2,900, Strubles 2,800 on FanDuel. Pavin Smith in the leadoff spot is only 2,500. Big T's boy Nick Ahmed. I know he loves playing some Nick Ahmed. I could see this Arizona team being a team that we might want to stack up today. Good hitting park. I don't know if that roof will be open. It's supposed to be pretty warm, so chances are it'll probably be closed. But
I don't know. So it's been open a lot. I'm looking it up right now. Today's the 12th. They're saying open tonight. It was open yesterday as well. So,
well, there we go. So, yeah, definitely the Diamondbacks are somebody I'm going to be looking at. I do like this Diamondback stack. So, they scored 11 runs yesterday. So let's see what they can do today. So, if you want to get a Duffy or somebody, this is a perfect stack to fit in with a high price pitcher. So I think Arizona might be up there for me today.
Yeah, I'm absolutely in on the D-backs, righties, lefties, you name it. Neidert has one of the lowest whiff rates in all of baseball for all pitchers. Not getting any chases. His stuff is very pedestrian. I think the Diamondbacks have a great chance. They went off last night. It was a little bit late kind of when they did most of their damage, but the ball's going to be flying in Arizona tonight. There's no question about that. So give me these Diamondbacks stack for sure. And with the roof open, that's probably enough to push me away from Gallen entirely. I think there are better options on this 10-game slate. Last game of the night, Julio Urias and Justin Dunn face off in Los Angeles. Obviously, Urias for the Dodgers, Dunn for the Mariners. Urias has been excellent this year, kind of a breakout season for him, throws from the left side. We've kind of been waiting for it for a couple of years. They've kind of treated him with kid gloves. He is coming off a rough start against the Angels. Looking under the hood, I wouldn't be too concerned about that. I would expect a bounce back here against the Mariners, who do strike out a lot against lefties in particular. I think they might have the second highest strikeout. Fourth highest strikeout rate against lefties in baseball, 29.5%. Their offense has been below average in general against lefties. So, yeah, Yarius, I definitely like him more than Gallen, who we just talked about. A little bit of a discount you get from him from guys like Wheeler and Woodruff. So, yeah, totally in play for me. Justin Dunn, he's okay. He's not a bad pitcher, but I don't think I'll end up using him against the Dodgers with so many good options on the slate.
Yeah, you mentioned Reyes being a lefty. I think the last time Seattle faced a lefty was Means, wasn't it?
Yeah, might be. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they got no hit.
I mean Yarius himself faced the Mariners back on 420, struck out 11 guys. Maybe Seattle was indulging
420. That's a great day.
Yeah, maybe Seattle was a little hazy that day. I don't know, but yeah,
he
was excellent. I would expect him to be great again. Yep.
11 Ks. So yeah, Urias is somebody I'm definitely gonna look at. I mean, Seattle is terrible against lefty. I think they hit 188 as a team against lefties, which is down there in the Tiger area. As being just bottom of the league, just terrible. So yeah, I'm not on any of these Seattle bats. Urias is gonna get some consideration for me today in my pool. And a good thing about you got that late night pitcher hammer too, right? That's always fun to have. Your bats go off early and you got that late night pitcher going that's got some K upside. That's, you're just every K you're moving up the board. That's always a fun time. So he's definitely play for me. And, Justin Dunn, he at times he can have some walk issues. Last start against Baltimore, he gave up 4 walks. Only gave up 3 hits and 1 run. He did give up a homer, which obviously was a solo shot. I want to say it was Mountcastle that got him. But so, I mean, the Dodgers are always in play for me. They can go off for 10, 11 runs at any point in time. They have not been hitting very well recently as a team. I'm just waiting for Mookie to get going a little bit. I mean, you kind of pay a higher price for Mookie than – I mean, it's just
he hasn't been worth it this year, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely not. Corey Seager is cooled off recently. Muncy hit a home run last night. I mean, so there's always potential here just to get blown up. But yeah, I mean, the Dodgers are definitely in play. Looks like it's going to be like 70 some degrees out there in LA tonight. It is the only 10-10 game, so I'm easily tucked into some late hammers. So Dodgers have kind of become one of my favorite teams just because obviously they play late. But yeah, I'm going to be looking at some Dodgers here. They all project pretty high up and down that whole lineup.
Yeah, no question. Gavin Lux hit the big home run yesterday that kind of propelled them to victory. He's been a top prospect for years. Slow start to this year. We kind of been waiting for him to come around. Maybe this big hit will kind of get him going. He's 3,500 at second base. Could be a good value play there. But yeah, probably won't be super heavy on the Dodgers, but throwing a Lux, a Max Muncy, Will Smith, if he's in the lineup, I think is a solid play. So that would be my approach there. But yeah, Julio Urias is the main guy that I'm looking at in this game. That will do it for this podcast. That's all 10 games. We'll have all the information you need, DFS, betting, and otherwise in the Discord and on the website over at runpeersports.com. Free show today, 3:45 Eastern time, breaking it down position by position with me and a couple other guys. I don't know who's on the show today, but it'll be a good one as always. So check that out on YouTube, 3:45 Eastern time. Podcasts, I think we'll be back tomorrow unless it's all early games. Sometimes you get that on Thursday, but regardless, it will return Friday, if not tomorrow. Thanks for listening. As always, he's G Risen. I'm DraftCheat. We'll check you next time.